What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Yesterday, I uploaded schedule preview predictions for the TCU Horned Frogs. Today, we're continuing with that after a little news video just uploaded earlier today. If you're interested in hearing about Oklahoma and Texas, go watch that video. But if you're interested in hearing Boston College or hearing about Boston College, stay right here. Hey, if you guys are new to the channel or you do enjoy this video or you are a Boston College fan, please do leave a like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 300 before the season starts. And if we could do that, that would be absolutely awesome. So continue to hit the subscribe button. Support for the channel has been great. Like as well, you can leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the Boston College Golden Eagles. Again, just be mindful of what you say in the comment section below, right? All right, let's talk about Boston College in 2021. So a team that, in my opinion, has been steadily improving. And I think this year can really be a very, very solid team. You're going to see that evident when we do my preview predictions. I'm very high on this team. I think this team can do incredibly great things come this year. I really do think they can. All right, looking at players that Boston College lost. The big one is running back David Bailey. Also Hunter Long. That's a huge loss for them as well. But for those two guys on offense, which are really only the two notable losses on the offensive side, like those are some big losses. So David Bailey, the running back last year, the starting running back last year, after A.J. Dillon went to the NFL. Now David Bailey transferred. So he's transferred. He's gone, in Hunter Long, NFL level talent. He went and got drafted. So those are two huge losses on the offensive side. But I mean, when you look at it, it's not too many losses on the offense to where they can't recruit, but big losses nonetheless. A lot of their losses are coming on the defensive side. You have Max Roberts and Luke Biquette gone off the defensive line. Off linebacking group, there's a lot. John Lamott, Isaiah McDuffie, Max Richardson, and Paul Theobald. So all of those guys gone off the linebacking group. Those are huge losses for Boston College. And then there are a couple notable defensive backs, but I think the biggest one is Tate Haynes. And none of them are like substantially huge losses, but Tate Haynes, I think, was the most productive out of the ones that are leaving. So for Boston College this year, you're losing a lot on the defensive side, a couple pieces on the offensive side, but they dug into the transfer portal because, hey, it's not about what you lost. It's about what you have or what you have coming in. They still have Phil Jerkovic back there at quarterback. I like Phil Jerkovic. And man, Notre Dame wishes they could get him now, right? But Phil Jerkovic, a really good quarterback. I think he can be phenomenal this year. And when you look at the pass catchers he has, yeah, he can. Zay Flowers is coming back, as is C.J. Lewis. And then you have a tight end, Trey Berry, transferring over to fill in that spot for Hunter Long. Also transferring in to replace David Bailey is Alex Sinkfield, a former running back who played behind Letty Brown at West Virginia. So still going to be a solid overall offense for Boston College this year. I think they can do some pretty incredible things on the offensive side. The defense, I think, is where the story is going to be told. So you still got Onwuka there at the defensive line. Marquez Valdez coming back as well. Then you're getting some transfer. So Isaiah Graham Mobley, a transfer coming in. And then Jaden Lars Woodby, a defensive back coming in. And that is huge for Boston College. That's a huge transfer. And Jameen Muse coming back onto the team. So it's a Boston College team that overall, when you look at it, I still really like. When you look at sorry, I just hit my mic. When you look on the offensive side, they should still be productive with Phil Jerkovic, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, is he a top 10 wide receiver? You're going to have to find out on Sunday whether you think he is or not. There are a lot of good wide receiving nations. Zay Flowers could be one of them. C.J. Lewis solid as well. Barry, a very impactful transfer coming over. Isaiah Graham Mobley, Jaden Lars Woodby. Those are two impactful transfers as well. You could, of course, throw other names on the list there as well. But Boston College should fare pretty well in 2021. And their schedule sets up kind of nicely. So their record last year was 6-5, 5-5 in the ACC. That's not horrible. They were 6th in the ACC, and they were one of the first teams to say no thanks to playing in a bowl game. Hey, you guys know how this works. I'm talking about some games more than others because they're more interesting matchups to me. So if the day gets highlighted in green, it's a win. If it gets highlighted in red, it's a loss. Without further ado, let's talk about Boston College in 2021. The result may surprise you at the end. Really is how I feel about this Boston College team. Open up the season against Colgate. Yeah, that's a win there for them. I don't see Colgate winning that one. Nope. Boston College should start off 1-0 to begin the season. And then they got 2 road games against teams that they should beat. They should beat UMass. That should be a win for them there. Technically, it's an in-state rivalry. Don't know if you can call it much of a rivalry, but it's an in-state game. Nonetheless, I don't see this one being close. UMass has consistently been one of the worst teams in FBS. Boston College will beat them. And then the Temple Owls, and I think they beat them too. You got Rousseau transferring out of the quarterback position at Temple. And Temple, overall, in my opinion, is not going to be that great. So I do have Boston College starting out 3-0. And now we get into the interesting games, right? It starts off, the big non-conference game is a home game against Missouri. So we did Missouri not too long ago, believed in them on Tuesday. Now looking at Boston College today. Boston College, to me, well, they're a team this year that I think is going to score a lot of points. And if the defense can use the transfers well, they can play up to potential. I think this defense can be really, really good as well. Now, when you look at Missouri, they're losing a lot of pieces as well. But again, have some guys coming back, some big names coming back as well. The quarterback, Bazelak, coming back. He was a surprise last year. Getting Mookie Cooper over from Ohio State along with the leading receiver last year. Missouri's going to have a pretty solid team. I think this one's going to be pretty close. It's going to be a very interesting non-conference matchup to watch. Could maybe even be a game that we see later in bowl season. But for me, for right now, I just like Boston College a little bit more, especially on the offensive side. I really do think that the Golden Eagles are a team that you got to watch out for this year. I think they beat the Missouri Tigers here at home, albeit very, very close game. I do like the Golden Eagles to win that one, but not as much as their next one yet. Playing on the road in Death Valley, that's going to be a hard thing to do. And if the way Clemson's retooling this year, I don't see Boston College winning the game. Hey, they were competitive with them last year, right? So maybe they can do it again. Just playing in Death Valley is going to be a different story than playing at home, especially when fans are going to be back in stadiums. The stadium's going to be loud. Death Valley probably going to be as loud as it's ever been. Finally excited to have fans back. I don't think Boston College escapes this one. Now, Phil Jerkovic could pose some problems like he did in last year's game. I think he could pose some problems, but I do still have the Clemson Tigers winning this one. Just all in all, a better football team, in my opinion. Boston College maybe can be competitive, but I do still have Clemson winning the game. So then they get their bye week here. And in my opinion, this is a really good spot for a bye week. It's almost in the middle of the season. It's right after you play a game against Clemson. So, okay, you're 4-1 up to this point by my standards. Figure out what needs to get done and then go from there. So after they're refreshed and reset off of their bye week, they get NC State. And NC State's a team that I also really like this year, but I don't like them as much as Boston College. Really, I just don't. So Devin Leary coming back at quarterback. He was the starter and then broke his leg. I've heard from a lot of people. So was the starter, broke his leg, now should be back. The question is, how healthy is Devin Leary going to be? Is Zonovan Knight still going to be pretty good? Can the wide receivers play better? Can the defense play better? Well, the defense is still pretty solid. I mean, it was a pretty solid team last year. Defense was pretty solid, but overall, like, can NC State play a better game than Boston College? I think is what it comes down to. I think it could end up being an offensive shootout, depending on how both offenses look up to this point. But for me, with Boston College coming off the bye week, and in my opinion, they just have the little bit more of the explosive weapons on the offensive side, I do have the Golden Eagles winning this game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be close, down to the wire. But I do think that Boston College will beat NC State. And then a road game against Louisville. So I don't like Louisville much this year, but I do have Boston College dropping this game. Now, Louisville is returning some pieces, but it's not much, right? Malik Cunningham's coming back, but he was kind of bad last year. I think he can really turn it around this year. And when you look at overall this Louisville team, they have a coach on the hot seat. I don't think Louisville's going to be fantastic in 2021. They could end up being a solid team, though. And again, in this year where home field advantage is going to play a huge role in games this year, I think the Louisville Cardinal upset the Boston College Golden Eagles here in this game. I think Boston College is going to be a little worn out after having played Clemson and NC State the past couple of games. I just think Louisville offensively does enough to beat the Golden Eagles. A road game against Syracuse. So Syracuse is a team that you should beat, right? And I have you winning this game. Again, playing in the Carrier Dome, home field advantage, going to play a role here in this game. I do see the Golden Eagles winning this game, though. I don't see a way Syracuse can win this one. Syracuse, to me, just does not have enough talent to compete with the likes of Phil Jerkovic and Boston College. I think Boston College wins the game. And then a home game against Virginia Tech. So the two games that maybe I could see them losing in the ACC, besides Clemson, of course, two games I could see them losing in the ACC, the North Carolina and Virginia Tech, they get them both at home. And if you've watched my Virginia Tech video, you know where this pick is going. Sorry, Hokie fans, so I'll flash green up on the screen right now. We see a lot of teams, not just highly ranked teams, but a lot of teams in general, struggle when you have to go on the road after a short week of practice, meaning you play on a weekday. This is one of those scenarios. This is a Friday game. Virginia Tech's going to have a short week of practice along with the day for travel. Boston College is going to come off a nice, and what my opinion should be a little tune-up game at Syracuse before they have to come play Virginia Tech. And I'm not that high on the Hokies this year. For Virginia Tech, I mean, I don't know. Virginia Tech can be a solid team if they play to their potential, but they just haven't reached that under Josh Fuente. Ever since he came over from Memphis, it's just kind of been, the offensive explosion we've expected has just kind of been meh. So if they could really get it going this year, I think Virginia Tech absolutely can win this game. But for right now, I like Boston College better. And I think Boston College is going to be able to exploit some positions here in this Virginia Tech defense. And while the Virginia Tech offense could end up scoring a lot of points here, I think the Boston College offense does just enough on their home field. And then a road game against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a team that's slowly on the rise. And, I thought about giving this a loss. I thought about giving Boston College a loss here. But just after looking at both of these teams, after reading about both these teams, after looking and previewing this matchup, I just can't do it. Georgia Tech is close. Georgia Tech can be close. I think they can be competitive in the years to come. I just don't see them beating Boston College here. I think it's a huge swing game, though. And I think Georgia Tech maybe can keep this one closer than a lot of people think. People are quick to overwrite Georgia Tech. I think they can keep this one pretty substantially close, but I do have the Golden Eagles pulling that one out. And then a home game against Florida State. So Florida State, a team this year that, looking to rebound after an abysmal past couple of seasons. They're getting Mackenzie Milton at quarterback. How healthy is he going to be? How good is the defense going to be for Florida State? Can the offensive weapons around Mackenzie Milton, and he might not even start, perform to their potential? Can this Mike Norvell offense get going? I think early in the season, it's going to be hard for Florida State to get that ball rolling. But I think late in the season, when it matters, when Florida State is playing for their bowl game lives, I do think that this offense is going to show up. I do think that this offense is going to do enough to beat the Boston College Golden Eagles. I'm not super high on Florida State this year. I don't think they're going to be an 8-9 win team. Like I see some people thinking a bowl team, possibly, yes. But I think Florida State is just a couple more years away. But late in this season, I think their offense finally gets going. And then a home game against Wake Forest. Wake Forest is one of those teams that I'm not too sure about. Not really sure what I think about Wake Forest this year. I think you can go on opposite ends. I think they could be pretty solid or they can be pretty bad. And I think most people's options is they're not going to be that great. And I kind of agree with that. So, again, Wake Forest could surprise us again this year, could do some good things, but I still do have Boston College winning this game against the Demon Deacons. So only 3 games are highlighted in red for me, which means that I think the Golden Eagles are going to go 9-3 this year. I really do like this team. If the offense can play better than what they did last year, up to their potential, I think it's a high ceiling for their offense. When you look at the defense, sure, they're losing a lot, but they're getting a lot of impactful transfers in as well. There are a couple guys that were backups last year that Boston College fans and coaches are getting excited about. I think Boston College, if this, and the big caveat is if that defense can play well, if that defense can really step it up, if that defense can come out and win Boston College some games, I think you're going to see a really, really good team here in 2021. I think they solidify themselves as the second best team behind Clemson in that division in the ACC. So, guys, that's going to do it for my 2021 Boston College preview and predictions. Hey, if you guys enjoyed it or you are a Boston College fan, leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button. Who knows? I just might be talking about you in the regular season. So continue to like, subscribe, share the video as well. You can leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the Golden Eagles this year. Of course, just be mindful of what you say. And hey, tomorrow we're going to look at the UCLA Bruins. How do I think they're going to fare in 2021? Will they continue the rise or will they plummet back down? You're going to find out my thoughts on UCLA tomorrow. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Again, UCLA coming up. Goodbye.